Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. I'm your host, Innkeeper, and this is your live call-in talk show all about the Wheel of Time. And we're back at the end tonight without any Season 3 news. So we're going to continue our character review series. And fortuitously, it turned out I was doing Moiraine and Lan this week. And if you've been around social media the last few days or the week, maybe there's been some discourse on Moiraine and her future. So I thought it worked out well that we're going to look back at both of those arcs and then also look forward to the Shadow Rising and beyond and Season 3. Before I jump into that, we are back next week. I'm doing Egwene next week, so we'll dig into her arc in Season 2. I mean, I think Rafe and Co. have said that it was more of an Egwene Nynaeve heavy season, and we saw that, so there'll be a lot of things to dig into next week, so come join us for that. But tonight, it's our Blue Sister and our King Warder, and to discuss both of those great characters, I have two wonderful guests. I have Joe from Talk Around Ride and Frenzy. How are you doing?
Hello. When you said our Blue Sister and King Warder, I thought you were talking about me and Mary.
I did.
You look lovely in blue, Joe. You really do.
No, I was the Warder and you were the Blue Sister.
Oh, okay. I can see that. That works too.
But yes, there's been a little bit chatter online about Moiraine. So we are going to get into spoilers, folks. I'm going to put up show content spoilers because for now, the first, I don't know, half of the show or so will go up to the end of the Fires of Heaven. So book 5 and things that happen at the end of that book. But I think we might get into full book spoilers later on, and we'll be sure to put that on there before we do that. So Joe, let's start with you. I know you've seen some of this. I'm gonna dig into that right away. Rosamund Pike, big star, has done 2 big seasons, has done a 3rd season. What do you think the future holds for Rosamund and Moiraine in the show?
So I think what you're referring to there's 2 things, right? One, there was something about her potentially moving back to London. So I guess I'm sure she has multiple homes, so I don't think that's a big thing. Like, it's not like she has to buy a new house. She's probably still got her home in London and she's just moving there.
Yeah.
That I'm assuming that means that she's done filming for Season 3. At least her parts, so that's kind of good news. So, connecting that with the end of Fires of Heaven, does this mean she's done for the foreseeable future? I don't know. I don't want to try to predict anything about this show because everything I predict about it is usually wrong. So,
Isn't it great?
We actually just went back and looked at our pre-season 2 predictions, and we did terrible on our, me and Jen on the podcast. Terrible, like. Yeah, awful.
Was this you looking back at the one where Jen like you guys died laughing? Was that what you're looking back at, or was it something else?
Yeah, well, we do so every before
it started, yeah.
Yeah, we do we try to break down what we think is going to happen in the episode, and then we look back at we just look back at it. And I'll tell you, there was one thing that Jen had said in her predictions was that Perrin kills Jeff from Portland. Her relentlessly for it, and she was right. So we gave her credit.
Joe, people are saying in chat that you're a little bit quiet. I don't know if.
Sorry.
Yeah, you do sound okay to me. So maybe I don't know if you have a way of turning it up. Frenzy, what about you? I don't know if you've seen some of this stuff, but realistically, if you look at arcs and how things have been going, this big kind of rivalry that's been set up with Lanfear and Moiraine. What do you think? Season 3 is it plausible? or quite plausible that we're going to delve into some Fires of Heaven?
I think it's possible, definitely. Especially the way we left things with Lanfear and Moiraine. I'm kind of hoping we see more Moiraine and Leandrin, which would be a departure from the books, but the way that the last two seasons have gone, it would dovetail nicely. Uh, there's also, and I think it was Melindra that posted this, is there may just be a very mundane reason that Rosamund
Right.
had to move back to London, and that's because of the whole Brexit thing. So it could be she just had to go back home and her work visa was done. And that could mean that she's done filming. Don't know. But, you know, are we going to see into Fires of Heaven? Probably. Are we going to see that far into Fires of Heaven? Hard to say. That's a lot of ground to cover. Those are two of the chunkiest books in the series.
Yes.
And I'm not just saying because Shadow Rising is my favorite. It is the longest book in the series. There's a lot to cover there. And to do both books in 8 seasons, I think would be quite the feat.
Yeah, yeah. So we're talking about Moiraine, and we haven't heard too much, I think, from Rosamund. She, to my knowledge, we haven't had any post season 2 press really that she's participated in, but she did put out this, and I can read this on her Instagram page, talking about the Wheel of Time and thanking a few people. So she starts with some love for the incredible privilege of playing Moiraine Damodred in the Wheel of Time. Rafe Judkins changed the arc of Moraine's journey in the novels to explore the humanity underneath the Aes Sedai. What happens when someone with a cause for which they're prepared to die loses their greatest weapon in fight, in this case access to the One Power. We see through season 2 Moraine's vulnerability, her pride, her refusal to trust. We also see the extent of her bravery. Episode 8 of season 2 explores the feeling when access to the power is restored, and we see the intoxicating rush of channeling again. We also see an apology made to the person who withstood every attempt to push them away and selflessly worked to solve the mystery, and tagged Daniel Henney as Lan Mandragoran. I don't know, my memory might be a little bit not great, but was there an actual apology? Did that actually happen, or is that more a figurative apology? Joe, do you remember?
Well, I know Lan apologizes to her, and I still haven't figured out what for. But I don't remember her apologizing to him. I guess when she said, we were never equals, you were always my better, that's her apology.
Right. Yeah, I think how would you expect an Aes Sedai to, I guess, apologize? That is probably the most you're going to get from someone like Moiraine. How did you view that scene between the two of them? They had this whole kind of rift, and then in the end finally came back together, frenzy. Did it work for you as in whole arc and how it ended?
Once it finished, yes, it did. I was a little bit on the fence about how it was playing out during the season, and but looking back at the whole thing as a whole, I agree with what Rosamund said. It explored the humanity of both characters. They both had to contend. They've been doing things in lockstep for 20 years, and to have to shift suddenly when they're so close to finishing the quest, so to speak, and moving on to that next vital phase of winning the last battle. And that's where they fell apart when they finally succeeded. And how do you process that? How do you when you're so focused on that end goal and you lose so much of yourself, yet you're still going and having to ask the question, is this worth it? And what's my role, since it was completely pulled out from under me? He's no longer a warder, but he wants to be a warder. She's no longer an Aes Sedai, but she's still trying to complete what was her task, and then coping, and then when you're in that situation of pain, pushing away, and she was probably trying in her mind to save him from whatever, or he was trying to say, and he spent the entire time figuring himself out, who he was, who he wanted to be. And it just brought back that it was his choice to be a warder. It's his choice to fight this fight, to be at her side no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I actually polled people. So there's around 70 odd votes. How do you rate the Moiraine Lan arc in season 2? Let me end this and see. About 45% kind of said what you're saying, that it worked in the end for me, and that's how I would say it. About 30% of people said meh. 12% want to just forget it. It's like August to me, and about 11% of people amazing throughout. So Joe, how did you vote there?
So I was on the meh side of it. I was thinking about this on the way home from work today when, getting ready for the show. And, this was really like a new spring, right? Their storyline was really trying to tell the story of like their relationship, which is basically a new spring for the most part. So I get that, right? They wanted to tell that story. We get it in a prequel book, but they're not going to do a whole prequel. They could have done a flashback, like a whole flashback sequence with them. I don't know how that would have worked. Obviously, they would have had to get somebody else other than Daniel Henney probably to play that role of Lan, and they didn't want to do that. But that's kind of how I'm looking at it at this point. They're like trying to cram in the New Spring storyline or some of what New Spring tells into the season 2 because they didn't have anything better to do for the two of them in season 2. I don't really like the execution of it though, to be honest with you. I didn't like, the beginning stuff between Moiraine and Lan. I wasn't getting, there was a lot of like unsaid like failures that they felt each other, like letting each other down. And I wasn't quite sure buying it. I was buying it. And like he was apologizing to her for what? What did he do that was wrong?
All right, so I don't know if you saw this. Koala that I said Lan felt he should have solved it faster. That was his apology, and she's like, I do stuff like that to myself all the time. People are hard on themselves.
Why should he be? First of all, he shouldn't have figured out that she was shielded. That shouldn't even have been Lan's role. And why is that his responsibility? And why should have he figured it out sooner? He doesn't know anything about the one power like that, like the mechanics of it. I don't know.
No, I agree. There were parts during the season where you're like, okay, I don't think any of us really thought, who knowing the arc of the two characters, that when she said you're not my equal, like we know there was going to be a payoff and it was going to be something like what happened. So I think the journey to getting to that may have, at least from Lan's perspective, was maybe kind of harder to go through than Moiraine, because Moiraine, not that she moved, she did kind of move on, and she was like, I'm just going to go do what I still need to do, what I feel like I need to do, and that's protect Rand and help Rand. And she basically moved on and was fairly successful. She killed Lanfear, right? Like she was able to do that, right? So without the one power, I think overall looking at there's one. I was just thinking. You said there's a lot of unsaid stuff, and I'm like, it's the Wheel of Time, right? Communication isn't the strongest.
It was very British drama.
I saw this,
kind of like looking at each other, nodding, and just staring and being like.
Yeah, I like it. Dan said Moraine's arc worked better than Lan's arc, and I think that's just because of, if you look at, she goes to Carrion, there's her sister stuff, Barthanas, Rand, Lanfear. Those were just stronger plots in general.
Yeah.
And I think Lan basically disappeared for a little while and had to find himself, and there was stuff with the Warders that happened and Alana that was, part of his arc, but maybe just not as compelling as the stuff that Moiraine was doing. She goes on it. He's just finishing off this more Rosamund Instagram thing. She then talks about just costume and that final when Sharon Gillam, who's continuing. If you don't follow Sharon Gillam costume design on Instagram, you should. Someone in chat can throw that in. She's continuing to put in some really great stuff from the show. I think she showed, was it Arthur Hawkwing today? So she came up with a stunning final outfit for Moiraine with a beautiful nod to the shoulders of her iconic. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Bolero, yeah.
Bolero.
In season 1, this time worked in lace on a beautiful blouse by Karen Bob 73. This costume gave me the fluidity of movement I needed for this final epic chanting moment, and felt pure Aes Sedai. And I thought this last sentence was interesting. Everything Moiraine has is pushed to the limit in her fight to stop the dragon being shielded by the Seanchan army and turned to the dark. I thought those were interesting words, Mary, because, the odes, a lot of people have had trouble with how Moiraine could just level a bunch of ships, not knowing who's on there. But I felt like that was, the actor saying, the dragon was being shielded by dark friends, and so that's kind of enough mental gymnastics. I don't know, where did you land with that, Mary?
She didn't attack the people; she attacked the boats.
Okay.
So easy enough.
Okay, so you're saying you're taking even a step behind that, the mechanics that attacking a boat that causes it to, capsize or whatever.
Are people saying that she's not in danger there on the beach, so she can't channel because she's not in direct danger? It's not her warder that is in danger.
Right, the third oath, yeah.
Right. Well, she didn't attack the people; she attacked the boats.
Okay, Joe, do you have?
I get it. It's like the ferry, right? The Terran ferry. I mean, he wasn't on the ferry, Master Hightower.
Yeah.
When she struck it, though. So I don't know. I guess you can talk that one through, just like Mary said. I think.
Yeah.
She didn't attack. I didn't like it. I agree. In the sense that you don't know, you're striking a boat with lightning or whatever, it was fire, whatever she hit it with, that people were going to drown on it. But I'm okay with it. You can talk through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely easier than it wasn't a. There were the antagonist force, right? Like Master Hightower, if he was on the boat, that would have been different. Versus this, I think, is definitely. So she talks about all of that, and she finishes with this one quote from Moiraine from The Great Hunt, chapter 22, Watchers, and this is the chapter where the both of them are in Tifan's Wells with the two sisters, not Varen, but Vandene and
Adeleas.
Yeah. So as they're talking about just Moiraine and Lan, Moiraine says, "I see my death in every day, as you do. How could I not with the task we have followed these years? Now, with everything coming to a head, I must see it even more possible." So, again, more kind of speculative stuff that fans would definitely, would like to read into. That why is Rosamund talking about death in a Moiraine post? But I this is from the chapter they adapted the whole arc from. So I don't think it feels out of place to me having read it. And it's like, well, this is what they adapted onto the screen. Joe, do you think that puts any more kind of credence to the fact that, yeah, she's talking about Moiraine actually dying or going away?
Well, I mean, Rosamund knows what's going to happen. She's read the books, and I don't think she's read all the books, but I think she knows the whole arc of Moiraine already. So, I mean, people are still debating, at least I know, that whether or not they're actually going to, do the ending of the Fires of Heaven and have her, pushed by Lanfear. I'll try not to spoil it too much, but yeah, there's a lot. I know people who were questioning that even happening in the show, because Rosamund Pike's such a big character and big name actress that would they do that?
I don't know. What do you
I think they should if they didn't do it.
Right.
I think that's terrible if they don't. Sorry.
Mary, what do you think? Does that quote make you think? Any more that she's saying not goodbye really, but hinting at things to come, in the next season, and the fact that should she actually have that moment with Lanfear at the docks.
It's definitely a very Aes Sedai quote to say to have us go down this path of speculation. We know how the books went. Those of us who have read Through the Fires of Heaven. At first, I thought that they would not kill Moiraine off, that they would keep her, and then they would get rid of her replacement in Rand's arc, which was Cadsuane. But they've name dropped Cadsuane in season 2.
Yeah.
So I don't. So there goes that theory. There goes that prediction. Rosamund's an executive producer on the show, isn't she?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
So even if Moiraine the character dies, I think Rosamund will still be involved. I don't know how they will do things if they keep Moiraine alive. I mean, part of the reason why it worked that she died at that point is Rand had to grow up. She was the parental figure from the power perspective that he had to rebel against, and then he had to stand on his own. And then that rebelling against was, the foil was Cadsuane. And then until he didn't need that, and he came to be who he was on his own. But I'm also of the, I have very strong opinions about what happens to Moraine's arc in the books, especially in the later part of the series. I have very strong opinions about that. I really hope they don't do that in the show.
All right. I feel like I need to hear this now, so I'm
All
gonna go
right,
full
so
book
put the full book
spoilers.
spoiler. All right.
All right. Let's
Let's
give
do it.
let's give a minute. Let me actually while
right.
you prepare yourself and give people time to look at
I
the
just
full
want
book
to say one
spoilers.
thing.
Go ahead.
I just want one thing unrelated to the book spoilers. That could just be because they don't know also that what's going on with season 4 yet either.
Right.
Like it hasn't been greenlit, so she might just be like, we might not, get another season. So let me just say
Yeah,
this.
it could go in multiple directions.
Yeah. So let me actually ask: do you think Moiraine will, let's put this in quotes, die at the end of season 3? See what people say about that. Do you think Moiraine will die at the end of season 3? And
I don't think the end of season 3. If they're gonna do it, it'll probably be after the next season 4.
They've queued up a lot of drama between Moiraine and Siuan with the last episodes of season 2.
Yeah. Let's see how this poll plays out. So yeah, Mary, go ahead. Tell us your strong feelings.
My strong feelings. All right. So first of all, shout out to Natalia, because she and I share this opinion, and it's one of our crowning moments at a Jordan Con where we argued this quite vehemently with folks there. The folks being Sarah Nakamura. But my opinion, first of all, Moiraine is one of my favorite characters in the books. Hands down, top 3 from New Spring all the way through the end. She's always been one of my favorites. I think she was done dirty. I absolutely think bringing her back the way she was brought back was insulting to her and to her abilities and her role in the story. She was stripped of her power. She was made an absolute literal damsel in a tower, waiting around for the menfolk to go rescue her. And she comes back, her power is reduced, and this completely made up arc that she loved Tom the entire time, she's basically given as a prize to the old guy. Makes no sense, doesn't match her character, doesn't match her place in the story. And I swear I hope the show doesn't do that, doesn't repeat that mistake. I mean, Towers of Midnight was one of my favorite books, but when I got to that part in it, I put the book down and I'm like, I didn't pick it up again for over a week. I didn't even finish the book. I was so pissed off.
Wow. I get the Tom thing. I agree with you there. I I do like that she came back and she did have reduced powers. I feel like because when she comes back, things have progressed so much further, and it's clear that like it. I know technically they need her, right? She goes with Rand, and she's kind of important in the whole I was about to say Pelennor Fields.
Field of
Olive
Merlor.
Heights.
The Merilor, the Fields of Merilor. Sorry, see, it's easy to confuse those two because clearly there's a connection there. But yeah, the Fields of Merilor, how she kind of helps calm everybody down and get everybody back together. That's one of my favorite scenes in that that book.
Yeah,
is when she shows up and the way everyone reacts, and I love the scene where I think it takes place from Perrin's perspective. I don't remember. And there's a part where like she approaches Nynaeve, and I think it's Perrin's thinking like, oh my god, they're like Nynaeve's gonna punch her in the face, and then Nynaeve just like hugs Moiraine and starts tearing up, and I was tearing up during that scene.
yeah.
And she's there at the end with Rand, so I don't know. I get what you're saying, Mary. And I love Moiraine too. She's one of my top 4 or 5 characters in the series too, but I didn't mind it as much. I thought like she came back different. She was a different person clearly, but I guess do we know how much time it was for her being in the Finland?
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's a lot of trauma she's experienced.
I feel like I'm not sure how time works in their dimension.
It was a year and a half in real time.
Yeah. I mean, it was a significant time regardless, right? I mean, it was basically nonstop torture. So, it's she's not the same person. You're right. I don't think I feel that strongly about it that I would say that she should not come back. I mean, the show can do whatever they want, right? And if she doesn't come back in the show, I'm okay with that. But I think I would have been unhappy if she never came back in the books, because there was always the thought that she would come back, and the effect that she has on Rand, I think, is important. Does she not even get to talk to Lan, and that bothers me, or at least on screen, like that doesn't happen, or Swan. It's those are the things that definitely do bother me, right? But I think if Moiraine dies in the show and actually dies, they can make it work. I don't think it's too hard to make that work.
As long as it's different. This is the one time where I'm going to say I really want it to be different from what was in the books.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be different. I would put money on that.
Okay. But I for the poll that you have up right now, Innkeeper, I voted. I don't think she's going to die at the end of in episode or in season 3. I can see it happening in season 4, but I don't see it happening in season 3.
Yeah, I don't know, Joe. Are you a no?
100% agree. They wouldn't kill her. It's too early, I think.
Wow.
And there's too much to happen in like the next 2 books. Like that's important. That just kind of cramming that in there. I think if they did do it, I feel like it wouldn't get the attention or that it deserves.
Yeah, I guess so. I just think I actually would say yes. The only reason is I don't think, unless they're changing how Lanfear goes away, because I think if Lanfear stays around for another 2 seasons, it's too long. I think we had a full season of Lanfear, and now we have another season of Lanfear doing her stuff, and we get more people coming in, more Forsaken coming in. We know Samael, right? We know Moghedion's there. Grendel has to somehow be important. I just feel like if Lanfear stays a big player, if they can get rid of Lanfear without getting rid of Moiraine, sure, I think she stays on.
I don't think she's going to be in a lot of season 3, at least as Lanfear. If they're going to do So I'm only going to imagine that, and in my head, the way they'll do it is they'll probably have like a Forsaken tea party scene, and she'll be as Lanfear, and there'll be some tips or clues that she's doing something, and then you won't find out it's Lanfear until the very end of the season.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Like Natasha will only be in like 2 or 3 scenes in the entire season. So And you could do that, and then you could kill her off, and then the next season is when she could go. There's so many characters, like you don't need.
There are so many characters. You're right.
Yeah, you're not gonna have time to spend it with all of them, like you said, with all the other Forsaken out.
Right.
I like people in chat are like, "This is that sounds like Lanfear heresy to me."
Yeah, I was gonna say Matt wasn't on hiatus. He'd be calling in saying, "Hey,
hey, I did, I did put. Let me actually share this now. So let's kind of
trying to pull Lanfear off early.
Let's yeah, I think Matt has gotten to the point. I think with how good season 2 is, I think he's like past that now. He's like it doesn't matter to him. He got the best out of his favorite character. I think he's done with actually. Sure, would he want more? Yes, but I think
he'd be zen about it."
I think so. Well, I mean, he'd have thoughts, obviously, right? But I don't think it matters to him as much. He was more worried that she might die at the end of season 2. He's like, just don't kill season. That was like the first thing he told me is like, as soon as he finished, he'd be like, I just want to be sure Lanfear doesn't die at the end, and the end credits roll. You know?
Yeah. Well, I know we're gonna talk about Lan and his arc, but what if Lanfear is removed from the playing field the way Moiraine removed Bilal?
Balefire? Wow. Okay.
No.
Blindsided by Balefire?
I don't think it would fly very well with fans. But then again, it could be. You never know.
Well, you almost can't do that already because she's already gotten a lot of FaceTime, whereas Bilal just shows up and then dies like 5 seconds later. So at least Lanfear got a lot of screen time already.
Right. Right. Well, there's that.
I need to share. I don't know if I'll be able to find that one clip where the Innkeeper 3 years ago or so said, should they cut Lanfear from the show? I'll try to find it now that we're talking here. Yeah, so I might as well put this up here now because this was just, again, important to the Dusty Wheel that we share things that, Daniel Henney was saying about Matt. So this is Omar from What Series asking, a point of curiosity. There was one interview that you did with the Dusty Wheel, and the question that was posed to you about the impact of the other characters on you, and you said Lanfear without pause. I know Matt Hatch, and this guy's been living and breathing Lanfear for 30 years. Did you know that's how we felt about Lanfear when you answered that? Was it just the truthful answer? And Daniel was like, I had no idea. No, I did not know. I mean, she comes in real hot, and she has a profound impact on Lan because she challenges Moiraine. And to Lan, that's incredibly impactful. And also, Natasha and I are good friends. I just love working with her. So just a pleasure. That's why I answered it that way. So I just thought that was just great that Daniel was able to. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's funny because like Daniel knows that Lanfear had an impact, but at the time the character of Lan doesn't because Lanfear is the whole secret that Maureen's keeping kind of for the most of the before she leaves, so that does have an impact. That's one of the secrets she's keeping. So I could see also how you can say it that way. He doesn't know that it's Lanfear at the time until later on when he realizes what's going on. But yeah,
right. Yeah. So just talking about Daniel Henney now and Lan. There's a lot of as much as Moiraine was cut up from the power and isolated, she did spend a lot of it with other people, maybe not the first, but when she makes it to Carrion, she's with her sister, she's with Rand then, and then she eventually gets reunited with, Siuan for a little bit, and then back with Lan towards the end. So Lan spends a lot of time really not able to share with anyone, and he gets a little bit of advice from Tomas and the Aes Sedai, Varen and Adelius, but he talks about being kind of vulnerable and having time where he's not able to kind of be himself like he was. So let me share this, and Joe, if you can maybe read this.
I can read.
Yeah.
I really like the stuff with him and the other warders. I thought it was really great to see the inner workings of those relationships. I think it strengthens him so people can see him more as a human as opposed to this invincible, stoic warrior that never cries or laughs. He's man and the one power. What's that? Oh, he's man and the one power helps him, but he's not invincible. As you can see in the first fight in episode 2 of season 2, where he's very vulnerable.
And so I think not that we disagree with that, but how did you this is a somewhat of a change where we didn't really see, at least from Lan's POV, him struggling with the bond, and when the bond went away in the books, and we see that a lot, and he has to turn to Alana, the other warders, and find his way back and actually figure out how he can be helpful. What did you make of that choice, I guess, Joe?
Well, it makes sense, right? I mean, for the last 20 years, that's all he's known, and he's pledged himself, and clearly Lan's a man who, wants to keep his word. He's a man of his word, and loyalty is really important to him. So he's struggling with figuring out how can he still be loyal and protect Moiraine when she doesn't seem to want his protection or want to be near him.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's good that he gets to connect with the other warders. I think that helps him, especially I think when he's talking with Maxim and Maxim's telling him how Alana masks his bond like quite often. So he can kind of empathize with Lan, and the two of them understand how each other feel. Even though I guess at that point it's still unclear what's going on with the bond, whether it's masked still or not. But it's the same feeling, and it means the same thing, I think, to both of them. And it makes sense, right? All that makes sense. Lan doesn't know what to do. He's struggling with his identity and his relationship with Moiraine. He will talk to the other warders because they're the only ones that can understand him and what he's going through.
Yeah, and I think Tomas who tells him at the start, "Hey, you need to listen," and you're not listening.
Morgan's not even talking to him. What is he gonna listen for?
But just
close the door, Lan. Leave.
Yeah, but Mary, for you, that this whole kind of, he needs to find his way on his own, go through a journey of, I need to still figure out ways to help my Aes Sedai, because that's what a warder does, and struggle through that. Did it work for you?
That part did. It dovetails very nicely into what his character is. He is the warder, he is the protector, he is the one that's been hunting down clues with Moiraine. It's also, their relationship is and they've talked about this in many interviews. It's as intimate as a marriage, even though it is by our definition platonic. And there is trust, there is love. That trust is I wouldn't say broken, but severely strained. But the love is still there, and he still wants to help her. He just needs to figure out how he can do that, because all of the rules have changed. Nothing makes sense. But he's not giving up. He is stubborn enough that even if he's being pushed away, he is still making the choice to continue the fight, to continue not only their mission, their goal, but to fight for Moiraine, even though in his mind what he sees is that she's not fighting for herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a choice that they had to make, in somehow getting them be apart for a little while and then bring them together. I think, Joe, you mentioned that the whole part of him figuring out how to actually get the shield mechanics figured out, and then help get that. Mary, do you think from an actual metaphysical standpoint, do you think, can someone who's a non-channeler be able to get that kind of knowledge and then help someone who's not a channeler? I mean, they always talk about people who can channel with Saidin and Saidar, and they can't. It's it's like the fish can't fly, or whatever the moniker that they use. This is a non-channeler that has to talk about weaves and things like that?
I think it works because I think he finally listened.
Okay.
And not to but what was saying, but what, he became aware of what was going on. He noticed the pattern. He picked up the fact that Moiraine wasn't suicidal,
Yeah,
you
that
know.
was good. That was good. I think if they would have just like threw something in earlier, or just like Lan questioning Alana or Varen, and just some reference to like shielding or what shielding was, I would have believed it a little bit more. But the fact that he just kind of that's the only thing, Mary, I think that was in there that kind of helped you make the connection for him, was that, he understood that she wasn't feeling like a person who was cut off should feel. I mean, they never address like she's still bound by the oaths. Clearly there has to be experience with Aes Sedai burning out or getting cut off from the source and the oaths are gone, but they didn't. I mean, they just kind of left that out, I think, which was a little frustrating for me.
Yeah.
It could have been better. It could, hindsight 2020, that these little things would have made it a lot easier for us book readers to accept and to say, yeah, okay, I get it.
Right.
And it's okay that it was meh, if that's how it was. That was your overall read to it. That makes sense.
Right.
You're not wrong.
All right. Okay. So for people who wanted to see Matt Hash talk about question Lanfear, I found this. I think this is it. So bear with me if it isn't, but let's see if you can. It's funny that I found it on a show that I did with you, Mary. So let's see how this plays out. We play this for you guys because this is important.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Yes, this is important, and especially the last part of it. So
Just to spite you. But would you drop Lanfear from the series? Do you have a good reason?
you guys hear it now?
Curious. Thumbs up. Keep
No.
No, there's the delay. I got to listen to it through the show.
Oh, no, that's odd. Okay, so I guess
I think it's funny that you're playing a clip of you playing a clip of Matt. We're like, this is like Inception here, right? We're going back
but that was Matt. Let me try to see if I can get that exact moment though. But he questioned it in that episode that you guys did. I don't know, back in 2020 or something, while you were adapting The Great Hunt.
Right.
But coming back to Dan and Henney, one of the things he talks about in some of these interviews is getting into character, and so I thought this was really cool where he was talking to. I thought this interview with Looper, if you haven't read, you should. It's really cool. There's a lot of fun things he mentions, but he says. In terms of getting into character, he's like, everything's in place for it to be there for you. My job is all the research I do for my own personal stuff, actor wise, but it's physical stuff. It's communication with the stunt team regarding fights that are coming up. It's communication with Rosamund. We maintain weekly conversations even when we're not with each other. It's maintaining a constant investment in it, because I haven't been on for 4 months. It's been a while for me, and I'm shooting here. 2 months from now I start shooting again. This is basically just my stuff with Rose. And I was like, wait, a couple of things. That just shows that they talk a lot. That's good. They talk when they're not together. That's awesome. But if this was in December, and I'm pretty sure Joe, you did these interviews, so it was in December, I'm pretty sure that you did them, and it was the release at the end of December, and he's saying that he's going to shoot 2 months from then, makes me think, and there's some stuff which is like into February. Yeah,
he just posted on his Instagram like yesterday of him like landing.
Oh yeah, he was yeah, exactly.
I don't know if that was him going to start his filming. There's a lot of good stuff in that article about like hints about season 3 in the Looper article.
Yeah.
Talking about when he's filming, like what you said right there, he's going to film for another month and a half or so.
Yeah, exactly.
He's training, right? He's getting back into water shape, so that means there's probably there's going to be action scene sequences that he's going to fight, and it's just saying he's doing his stuff with Rosamund specifically, which is kind of weird because Rosamund's just saying she's going back to London. I don't.
That's what I think. It's I think she can fly out to South Africa, because I think in one of the interviews he talks about, I'm going to a place I've never been before, and it's on the edge of the world, or the tip of the world. And I'm like, that's literally if they're in South Africa, that's what it is.
And there's a lot of costume people and makeup people in Cape Town right now that keep posting on Instagram, and I don't know if they're there for Wheel of Time or not.
Right.
But
what else could they be doing other than season 3 of Wheel of Time? There was one, I think within that article, he also talks about, I'm doing a lot of sword stuff, and specifically, I thought, one thing that we all have been looking forward to, this was, I think he mentioned it in a few different interviews, but this is from Screen Rant, specifically talking about mentoring Rand, and he said, I would say that I personally would not bet against it. I'm being shipped off in 2 minutes to a place very far away to shoot some really incredible stuff where I have to be in very good shape. I'm eating tree leaves and protein shakes, and I'm in a double training schedule right now, which could include some of the stuff you're talking about. So I think that's the mentoring Rand and an answer to seeing some of those things. So I think it's a safe bet based on the little they have said that we're going to finally get some of that sword training and sword fight with Lan and Rand. Mary, I see you smiling there.
And they're going to be doing that in the waste.
Right, exactly. So, that's where I think, like a lot of the, and I'm not sure how much, I felt like a lot of season 2 they shot chronologically. But I'm trying to. My first thought was like, if this is the end of season 3, what fight is this? Is this maybe Al Kardal and a fight there, or is it Ruidian? Like where's Lan and Rand fighting together? I guess.
Al Kardal could be.
Mm-hmm.
We've already moved Kyrian off the table. That's season 4.
Yeah.
But. It could, but I don't want it to. So I'll be mean about that. But you're not. Again, this could be the time. You're right. It could happen. I'm still waiting for mine. But no, I was just thinking. It's going to be in the way. So that means 2 things. One, they're going to be working with swords around the Aiel, which is just going to be ramping up that aspect of Rand's a Wetlander, Rand's an Aiel. But then also, we're probably going to see lots of shirtless Daniel Henney.
Elf Witch, fleeting thought, Lan fights Couladin. I mean, that's one of the things that, knowing some of the other leaks that, Matt might not be in the Threefold Land, then how this actually plays out, that if they're moving stuff from book 5 into season 3, are they just going to have the whole the Shido do not invade Karian, and they just have the big fight and the Shido are defeated and done with in season 3, and that's
no
it.
Shido arc?
Well,
about that, I always thought they'd end the Shido arc at Dumai's Wells.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Good spot to end it,
I think most people would have been totally okay if that happened. But I personally think that there is, there is some, if they have to think of cutting arcs and things so they can move along and get into the later books, knowing that they might not have I don't know, however many more seasons, that if they're like, well, this is what we're pitching 2 more seasons, season 4 and 5, let's say, and they might have to make these big decisions where they have alternative plans in place because they know things we don't know. And yeah.
Oh, that's such a question to think about. Like, if they're like, okay, you're only going to get 5 seasons now after this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Up to season 5, like, does Rafe cram everything in to try to finish it in season 5, or does he just write it like the way he was going to write it and just ends it without ending it?
I don't know. I don't know what happened to The Expanse. I haven't seen the show. I don't know the books. I know there's more to The Expanse after the show ends. and how they wrote it. But I don't know, Mary. What were your thoughts?
As
there?
I say, are we going to get a Babylon 5 or are we going to get a Deadwood? And I don't know which one I would rather. Deadwood, they stopped they stopped writing it. They just stopped the show, and that was it. And then Babylon 5, it was supposed to be 5 seasons. They were told, nope, you're going to get 4 seasons. So we've crammed everything into 4 seasons. And they're like, nope, you're actually getting a 5th season. And it's like, well, we did everything. And so, season 5 was just a little, ooh.
So wait. So if we get to the point where there's 5 seasons and A Memory of Light has happened, I'm okay if we get a season 6, because that is totally new ground, and they can just go into the 4th age and do new stuff, right? No,
we're hoping for at least 8 seasons, if not 14. You know.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, knock on wood.
But I'm sure I'm sure there is contingencies, and I'm sure that's how the writer room works, right? There are things they talk about and drop all the time. I haven't heard if they've started writing season 4. But those are the sort of things that they might have already decided. I don't know. It might be interesting to see, if we get to Dumai's Wells as an ending for season 4. Totally, that works. Like, it just ends at that, and you don't get anything else. Okay, cool.
Rafe was spending a lot of time with Amanda Schumann and Celine Song, and not Celine. Yeah, no, not Celine Song. What's her name? Who did the
Rami Park?
Yeah, Rami Park.
Yeah.
There was a lot of photos of them on Instagram traveling during the holidays.
Yes.
I think the show was probably not shooting at that time, but I don't know if they were getting inspiration for. I think they were in India.
They were in India, yeah. They spent a lot of time. Yeah. And then I think Taylor went and spent some time with Priyanka too, I think, afterwards. So that seemed more like just them having fun. But you're right. Could be
not on these trips, and they've been like inspirational journeys to help, for like when they were prepping for writing. Remember, they went to like Thailand or wherever it was they went. I can't remember.
Yeah. So just talking about swords, I thought this was just really funny from Mary. If you could read this for us.
Sure. It's a tricky thing to go almost 6 months and then have to start back up again. You rely a lot on everything that's already inside of you with the character. Once I get there, it's sort of lights back up. But if I'm honest, I walk around by myself in my house all the time as Lan, speaking in an accent and a lowered voice. And I have 2 katana swords in my gym. I play with them a lot.
So, I don't know why would I
doing the Lan voice.
Shut our logos, I'm not.
I remember
surprised.
what you did to Karina. Hey, if I had 2 katana, I'd be playing with it too. Come on.
But it's just I wasn't surprised to see that, because I think he just seems to have fun with he's really out of all of them in these interviews, seems like he's really enjoyed playing Lan and getting into the physical stuff, obviously, but also the character. He's definitely. I agree with Koala. Oh, I love this fellow so much. Yes, he is. He is.
It's hard not to.
Yeah.
He's a good one.
For sure. So let me end this poll. Let's see. Do you think Moiraine will die at the... So about, 2/3 people are saying no, which again makes sense if you're planning, if this is your premier star, the person who's going to attract a lot of fans to the show. It doesn't make sense to kill them off unless you're replacing some other stars coming in that's going to be as important and be a big pull. I doubt you could get someone to replace Rosamund Pike though. Let's see what people say about the Shido arc. Do you think the Shido arc could end
the Shadow Rising Shido arc, or the post Shadow Rising Shido?
The whole Shido arc could end by the end of season 3. That's how much I am how extreme. I think I'm making.
Oh, you think you would have them wipe out and El Cardal as opposed to
Yeah,
them
exactly.
as well?
They never really go across, and the actual force that goes across is the dragons Aiel that go to Tyr. So that's how they go across. You know.
You don't know.
I know. Yeah. No. This is very provocative. I don't think they would go there.
It's a great question.
Yeah, I don't think they would go there because I think it's a lot of change, but I think there is an opportunity.
I'll take the field on this one and say no. Any season but season 3. I mean, I think at least the 4th season before they get rid of them.
Yeah. So I think
They're
if you're introducing.
Wells.
If you're introducing, Savannah, Couladin, all these people, it doesn't make sense to introduce them and then have them to be done with. It'd be too fast, unless, yeah. I like this by Rajesh.
Need the Narbaha.
I need the full boxes. That's, yeah, yes, exactly.
No, something you said, Joe, is sticking in my head. Lan fighting Couladin.
Oh, I didn't say that.
Was that you?
I think
was that in us?
I think it's Elfwitch who made a comment.
Oh, yeah,
was it Elfwitch?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. You like
I don't
it?
know.
You know? Or
I don't
like
know.
it?
I mean, the it happens off camera in the books, but it's kind of a crowning moment of Matt awesomeness. So I don't want him to lose that, but I can't think for the life of me what Lan was doing in the Waste during book 4 other than being their logistics guy, making sure nobody died.
Yeah, he was training Rand, and you're right, he wasn't really they get attacked.
So the training Rand part, it sounds like that's going to be coming, and that's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Shadow spawn attack maybe in the Waste. I think in the
right.
He did say, Daniel Henney did say that we're going to see a more traditional Lan and Moiraine in 3.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe there's not that conflict as much anymore, and it's gonna be. Didn't Rave say like it's gonna be like Perrin and Rand's season or something?
Yeah,
like that?
there's something out there that says how Nynaeve and Egwene were like it was not Nynaeve and Egwene's season, but there were very heavy arcs for them in season 2, and it's going to be Rand and Perrin that are going to have more of that heavy arc in season 3. Yeah,
I think it's going to be a little quieter season for Lan. He'll be there training Rand. There'll probably be some sort of shadow spawn attack in the Waste or something like that, like we get in either book 4 or 5, and he'll show up for that. And I mean, if Moiraine goes through the crystal columns, which I think she's going to, because I think Rosamund mentioned in one of the early interviews before the season started that there was some sort of psychedelic scene that they were filming, and a lot of us, I think, just thought about the crystal columns potentially.
Yeah.
Or it could be the Finns. We don't know. It could be either one of those. So there's some, I guess, I don't know, conflict for Lan, Moiraine going off on her own again for
Could be, yeah.
Yeah. Let me put up. Okay, so yeah, this is a live call and talk show. So I put up the number. There is 313 TalkWad 313-825-5968. If you want to tell me how wrong I am in thinking Moraine's gonna die at the end of season 3 and the shadow need to be done by the end of season 3, call and let me know. And I'd be happy to hear you through and then tell you how it might be good for TV.
I mean, is season 3 16 episodes long? I mean, if it is, then it's suddenly got into the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I like. Where was this prediction? Someone's gonna kill someone, so that's what's gonna happen. We've had a foretelling from the father of lies, is what we've had. Yeah. All right. Let me. So we talked about what's Lan going to do, and so one of the things that he talked about a lot, and people asked him about a lot, was Nynaeve. So this was Omar from What Series asking Daniel about that relationship, and he says season 3, yes, it's more of a built season for those two. There are some really great scenes, some stuff we're really happy with. We do get to see some intimate stuff, not sexual stuff necessarily. So some moments with them, with Lan and Nynaeve, is this working toward what the book readers know it's going to be. It all depends on how much time we get, how many seasons we get to do this thing. That's a relationship that I'm really excited about, and I love working with Zoe. Now, it was interesting to read that and then be like, wait, if they're all together, and then, Moiraine and Lan and Co and Rand are going to the Isle Waste, and Nynaeve isn't, because there is the whole Tanchico plotline. Is there going to be a lot of time for them to canoodle or whatever, to have time together, basically? Mary, what do you think? Is it a season or two, or are they going to have time for them to build that relation?
Do we know? Did we get confirmation that Tanchico is a thing in season 3?
Tanchico is a thing, yes. Rafe has said that. 100%.
Great. Okay, that's what I thought. I just want to make sure I remembered that correctly. With that in mind, if we do see something, it's probably going to be in the early episode, maybe in episode 1, and then they go their separate ways as their plots diverge at that point. But yeah, I think if we see anything, it's going to be right off the bat.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. I can't see it later in the, unless the end. Who knows where they end though? But yeah, I don't see it any other way, because when's the next time Nynaeve and Lan are together in the books, right? So they're together in the beginning of the Shadow Rise.
7, right?
Yeah, it was in Tanchico.
No,
it was in a river.
It
was in a river
when he saves her, right?
It was in a river.
Or I don't know if he saves her, but there's. I remember.
Oh, we're
that
still
too.
in full book spoilers. Yes,
we are. Yes, we are. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
No, that wasn't Tanchico. That was Ebudar.
Ebudar. Yeah. And I think it's book 7. So it's like a quite a break that they have. So, which is again fine, but I think it was interesting that he did talk about that. I don't know if he's talking about that as a relationship that they built on more than kind of what we saw in the first few books anyways, in season 1, but we didn't see it
I'm wondering if the after effect of Nynaeve's testing is going to be part of whatever it is that we see between those two characters.
What do you mean?
The experiences that she went through with the Arches of living an entire life with Lan, and then losing that.
Yeah, it's hard to remember like that. She was there for years and like
6 years or something. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're right. Seeing him is going to be, because they don't see each other at the end of the season, but they're all in Falm. So there's clearly going to be some, conversations or connections with the two of them in the beginning of the season. And how does that affect her? And then having to split up with him, then very likely, I don't know how much time they're going to jump from season 2 to season 3, but I don't know.
They also have to get from Falm to the Waste.
Waygate, that's it. There's a Waygate right there.
There is a Waygate right there. You're right.
Gonna use Waygates.
You gotta love the Waygates.
Traveling. They need just discover traveling already, I think.
No, there's just Waygates everywhere. There is a very good old school public transportation system in the Wheel of Time. You just need to be able to use the one path.
Yeah. No ripping,
and avoid the black wind.
No ripping holes in the pattern.
Portal stones either.
No portal stones either.
Flicker.
Yeah.
Flick.
So the only other thing that Daniel talks about season 3 here. Let me read this in Looper, and just asked about what he kind of looked forward to, is he said it's tough without spoilers, but I can echo Rafe's sentiments. The bond is back and it is strengthened. You're going to see there's a great togetherness for the two for season 3. That's Lan and Moiraine. Again, they're on this journey together, which is going to include some cool training sequences, some cool writing sequences. We're going to explore worlds we haven't seen yet, which seems almost impossible. But we are being flown off in 2 months to a place I've never been in my life, on the tip of the world, so that's exciting. That's going to be in season 3, but you're going to see a more traditional Lan and Moiraine from what I know in season 3. So again, yeah, we kind of did touch upon this, that this is kind of now that this is happening, and it is Lan and Moiraine going to. I actually don't know. Is South Africa the waste? Is that do we know? I mean, we don't know anything, I guess. But
I think the Watch series people are pretty confident. I mean, I was like, it's the Kalahari Desert's down there, so my guess is if they're going to be shooting waste scenes, it'll be there. But when we talked to Zoe, she mentioned that implied that she was going to be filming down in South Africa too.
Oh.
But I think she might have mentioned Tanchico. So I don't know if they're using like the Cape Town, more that type of area, like by the ocean for Tanchico, and then they're just going to head up to the Kalahari for the Isle Waste. So I'm not really sure, but that would be my guess. If
that could work. Yeah, that would work.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely works. And again, I'm not surprised, but they did have North Africa with Morocco and a desert that worked. I guess they wanted it to maybe look a little bit different than Falma, so there's probably a little bit difference in how things look, and maybe it is more barren down south a little bit more, and it's more of a testing ground than maybe the Morocco scenes were, because those were just really, really beautiful scenes, especially the ending scene where they bond together. So while I look up this next thing, why don't we actually watch them reunite and bond at the end of season 2? And
my heart.
Then we'll come back. Yeah, and this is the first time I put on Prime after the last few days, and to my dismay, there were ads I had to watch through to get to this point. So don't come at me if an ad starts in the middle of them touching their foreheads or something. So hopefully not.
Because then you'll have to face it yourself. You can't hurt me anymore, Moiraine. It took me a long time to accept what you said about us not being equals, but I understand it now. And I believe in what you do. Even now, when I know not half of it.
The only reason that I was able to say that you're not my equal is that I've known one thing to be true since the first day we met. You have always been my better.
Let me back in.
Even after everything, he still chooses. He still asks.
Yep.
She can't believe it. I didn't see that before, but he smiled. Did you see that?
yeah. I think just so many things that they did there, and you could see a lot of that, and Daniel actually talks about this. So maybe Mary, if you don't mind, this is with Collider with Carly Lane that he talks about that specific scene.
Okay. We got very detailed with it. If my hands come up, are her hands supporting under, or should my hands support under and her hands come up? At what point do the foreheads touch? What point do they break? Is there an inhale or an exhale? And then we just thought the idea of moving side to side, is that too animalistic? We just came up with it, to be honest with you. And then we sent it to Rafe and he loved it. And then Amazon liked it and we shot it. That beautiful location. There was no CGI whatsoever. It was just unreal.
So yeah,
I mean, one power there, no CGI.
Yeah, that was the actual one power.
They bonded.
That is so how far in character they are.
Yeah,
they actually bonded. That's what happened.
So in that I think he references it earlier in that article that they're in like their hotel room.
Yes.
I think I forget where he said. I think they're in a Suera ahead of practicing in their hotel room, and I guess they must have filmed it and sent it to Rafe. I thought it was interesting that they had to like show it to Amazon for approval before they filmed it. That was kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Didn't think of that.
Producers probably have
I'm assuming
a lot of say in something where they said we're going to do a shoot in the middle of the desert where we can only do it for 45 minutes, and the crew has to like clean this whole expanse of the beach for like I don't know how many miles to make sure it looks nice, because they talked about that. And then they built the waygate in the water there, and how all that works out. So I'm sure Amazon was like, is this even worth doing? Like, I mean, I'm sure they did it right, but like show us what you did.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they had to try, if like Rafe was trying to sell them the scene, like they were like pushing back on doing it, like you said, in that location with under that setting, and he was trying to sell it to them, and that's why, they sent it to him and said, here, look, this is without, this is just the two of them doing this scene in their hotel room.
Right. Yeah.
Got to do this.
Yeah. So, I mean, the way he's talked about this, and they've talked about both of them and how close of a bond they have outside, I think it's totally awesome to hear this stuff, and not surprised to be like, they figured, out how to do this, and they did it really well. Let's see. I think that's most of what I had as far as I think the relationship with Nynaeve. That was one, mentoring Rand. I think there were a couple of things just from a fan perspective that I thought was just really cool.
Do you have the quote of him talking about the books?
Yes, exactly. That's the one I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So okay. There's a couple. So maybe let me put this up, and Joe, you could read this. Give me a second.
Not at all. When I started, I'm from a very small town in Michigan, so I don't remember much talk about I don't remember much talk at all about even Lord of the Rings or the Wheel of Time. There were a few things mentioned, but not much. When I first got the part, I dove into Eye of the World, and then went back to New Spring and the Dragon Reborn. He must have skipped the Great Hunt, and making my way through. I got to a point where it was affecting my ability when the scripts would come out, because when you read Lan in the books, he reads very differently than the characters in the show. He's really different, so I found myself sort of at an impasse. Now I go with the scripts, and I'm still reading the books, but I've slowed down the reading.
So yeah, I mean, he's read, but I think a lot of actors have said this. Clearly, Yosha didn't get the memo, and
Rosamund said it too in an interview. I think before the season 2 aired in those press interviews.
Oh, that she didn't.
Well, she talked about how like book Moiraine and show Moiraine are
Yeah,
different.
exactly. Yeah, and I
You
think
know what? She was talking about the doing the audiobooks. And
yes,
how
exactly.
She was Moiraine differently in the audiobooks because
It's different. Yeah.
Yeah.
And funny you brought up the audiobooks because apparently in this interview with Looper, they were talking about that, and Daniel was Rosamund's she did the audiobook, and they did reach out to me as well. I've considered it, but it's such an undertaking. She's so good at it, so I'll let her do it. I wonder if that was I was wondering if they pitched it as like a, how Kramer and Redding did it, and whether they were going for a two voices for the two different POVs. I've listened to just a little bit of the Rosamund Pike, and I liked it, and that's probably going to be when I do my next kind of dive into the books, that I'll listen to her, because I've heard so many great things about
There's something else after that Lan quote
yes,
where he talked.
yep, I have it.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, I was getting to it. All right, maybe Mary, why don't you read this one?
Alrighty.
Yeah.
I don't like when I get in conversations where I feel like Lan from the books wouldn't do that. But I'm not Lan from the books. I'm Lan in the show. So which one am I? It's a weird moment. I had to set the books down for a second and just go with our show. But I'll definitely finish the books.
I thought that was, and Joe, you can talk about this, but I thought that was really good to hear.
Yeah. I think it's great. Like, clearly they are like, he understands that these are not the same characters. The show's different, and the character is different in the show. And I'd rather the actor just say that than try to like say, no, it's the same character. This is it's a different character. I think Lan is very different from show Lan is very different from book Lan. So I'm glad that he admitted it and he acknowledges it, and he says like, I got to kind of put the books down, because he starts getting, like, oh, how do I play this now? Am I playing show Lan or book Lan? And getting himself confused and confusing.
There are elements of book Lan in show Lan. There definitely are.
Oh yeah.
And it's a different turning. There's different nuance. There's more depth in other areas. They are leaving out in other areas. And for the character Lan, who is also one of my top characters in the series, I think it works. It works for me.
Yeah, I think it definitely works. I think if you had book Lan for this, like if you had the book adaptation true to the word or whatever, you might have had less Lan in the show. Like Lan,
you definitely would.
Yeah, and I think the only thing that they maybe missed, I guess, was the training the boys, right? Training Rand that happens in the first two books that we didn't see. I think it's definitely
he has to do what's he's not writing it, so he has to do his best with what's written for him. So I mean, he's doing that. I think I might have played him I think I might have wrote him a little bit more like book Lan, with a little less. I feel like every character in the show is always like emoting. There's a lot of emoting going on in the show. So I think to have some contrast with some of the characters being a little bit, like he would have been the perfect one to maybe not show as much motion in the same way that everybody else does. I would have liked maybe a little less dialogue and a little more of like maybe just like expressions, and also like maybe some actions of things that he's doing that kind of show his character a little more than just saying it or beating his chest or yelling.
Right. I think a lot of people are just saying this in chat. Melissa, I think TV Land works well. Book Land just does not translate well to screen. Totally, right? Like there's like just I think
he can. I mean, think about some movie. I can't think of any movies off the top of my head, but think about those movies with those actors who just like have very little dialogue, like
the original Mad Max.
Yeah, think like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? The Terminator, right? What did he say? 2 lines in the whole movie, but you understand the character, you get it. I mean, he's one-dimensional character, but I think there's performances that you can find out there with actors who don't have a lot of dialogue, and a lot of it's just, expressions and actions and the way they're filming it and things like reactions. So I don't buy that. I'm sorry, whoever wrote that, but
yeah, no, I think the biggest. To give him an expanded role, to give him a role where you have an actor who has to be on screen for a period of time, that there are times when he says one word. Like there's this whole thing in the Two Rivers at the start, like he doesn't say anything, and like Moiraine's just talking to herself, and like like it's happening tonight, they're close or whatever, and he just like is there. So I think he definitely. They've had to expand it, and for whatever reasons that might be, but I think they've definitely expanded that to show that
they made a choice. I get it.
Yeah. All right. I think that's pretty much most of what I had from the interviews. I think Lan going forward, you're right. I think it's probably going to be taking a somewhat of a backseat. He'll train Rand. He'll help Moiraine, and I think anything more from Lan in terms of his relationship with Nynaeve is probably going to be more season 4 than season 3, just because I don't think they have the time and the logistical, if they have to do 2 separate quests. I think that's probably what's going to happen, right, Mary?
Yeah, they're gonna have to. Well, they're gonna have to make some cuts.
Right. All right, let me end this last poll that we had, where I feel like there are a few people who are agreeing with me, so it's not as much of a no that I thought it would be. So about 60% of people here who voted said no to, do you think the Shadow arc could end by the end of season 3? So about 40% of you here clearly like my theory, or more likely do not like the Shadow arc, maybe, and how it plays out.
Both. Could be both.
It's probably both. I don't think I made much of a not that I don't like it. I just think it's more there are choices, there are big choices that can be made, that they might have to make big choices like that. All right, I think I finally found that clip. That whole clip of Matt. Let me try again.
Right. Let's get it. Next in a year, you're going to be playing a clip of this.
All right. Okay. So the next person you see is not me. It's some person with long hair. That's not me. So I was like, "Are we in a mirror world?"
Just to spite me, but would you drop Lanfear from the series? Do you have a good reason? I'm kind of curious. Thumbs up, keeper, thumbs down. Let's get rid of Lanfear. I mean, a case has been made, right, that maybe they won't have enough Forsaken. You don't have to. I mean, I can't believe I would even say these words, but you don't have to have Lanfear in the show. In the end.
Matt.
All right, Todd and Mary, welcome to. I mean.
This is before polls were right in YouTube.
It was just thumbs down.
Up,
yeah,
thumbs down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is how old that clip is. It was so funny. Like Matt was in chat that day, and he's like regretting ever letting me do the show.
Oh, it was just like,
he's like, play the whole thing. Yeah. So it's
I love it. Brother Sips, he's lying.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's perfect to show that while Matt is not around, because then everyone's like, well, there was that clip where you said, should she be in the show at all? And it's part of Dusty Wheel canon now, because he said it on the Dusty Wheel. All right. Okay. Let's see. Let me I don't think I have too many other things, so let me start our giveaway for tonight. Was there any specific scene you guys wanted to maybe play and kind of discuss. It's funny. Gwendolyn said, "It's like, can we see that clip again, please? Or which one? Which one? The Matt one or the Lan and Moiraine one?" But yeah, do you either of you have any specific Lan and Moiraine kind of thing that you want to see? There's one I have in mind. So let me start our giveaway for tonight. So it's exclamation point Raffle in chat.
We didn't talk at all about I mean, you brought it up on us about Moiraine and her sister Anvir, that whole storyline in Cairhien, which I did like. I liked Anvir. She was amazing with that small part that she had, Lindsay Duncan, and I don't remember if there's some sort of evidence out there that she's going to be in the next season as well. I don't remember. Oh, I think more. Rosamund mentioned about doing a scene in season 3 with some actresses who are all of a certain age, and I think we just assumed that potentially Lindsay Duncan was in that, and I think we also were guessing Shora. But yeah. So I love those scenes. I love the whole Anvir and her. I mean, the two of them acting together was just like a masterclass. So I was loving all of that.
Yeah, I mean. Episode 4 and then episode 5, episode 5 is my favorite, and specifically because the Cairhien plotline was just much more compelling than I ever thought it would be, and they started showing the dream world, and there was actual plotting. They got into the game of houses, and to the extent that they could, right? They couldn't show multiple parties, but they did show one party, and they did show, they introduced that character and almost left it as we wouldn't really care or should, like, we were like, oh, a Cairhien noble that was named, okay, are they important? But they were Moraine's sister. So the way it worked out, it was really good, and the fact that they used that plot to show the Aes Sedai aging, metaphysics was really good, because they used that with the Liandrin plotline. So, Mary, do you think we're gonna see? I think I've talked to you about this before, and you said you want to go back to Cairhien, or do you want to see what happens to the Damodreds? Is that going to happen?
At first I thought it was, you could not cut it and have it work. Well, I'm on a fence now about it, depending on which way it goes. It's always good to come full circle. It just feels good plot wise. Mm-hmm. And we will be back. We do go back to Cairhien at least once in the series, if not more than once, for a couple things. So it could happen. I would love to see it, especially if the Aiel are involved. But yeah, I'm trying to think of it from a logical standpoint versus I'd love to see Lindsay Duncan again.
Right. Yeah. I think seeing that, but I don't know if there's unless they like
Caroline Damodred role later on, maybe her cousin, that role. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely possible that they show that. I mean, I think the biggest thing is, right, like, if Siuan and the Aes Sedai have moved from Cairhien back to the tower, and you're going to have the tower, you're going to have the two rivers, you're going to have the Aiel Waste, you're going to have Tanchico. I just feel like you have too many places to go to and have enough time to spend with, and also have, at least in season 3, have that Cairhien and plotline again, unless they take some time getting back to Tarvalon from Cairhien, and they show a little bit there, and who the queen is and things like that. But I doubt they have enough time to do it.
Yeah, Min is still there, so I wonder what's going. I guess she go back to the tower with the Aes Sedai. Do they scoop her up?
Oh yeah, Min. I've told.
She was given a mission.
Yeah. Oh,
well, I think that mission's done, and Ishi's dead, so
that's
so she doesn't have to.
She can show up wherever she wants. I think the funny thing would be she's like, I'm gonna run away and go to Tanchico because that's a cool town, and then she gets involved there with with those people there. It's hard to know how she's going to get wherever she's going to go next.
I forgot. Did John say that she was going to be there too?
Well, I feel like Matt's there, so I think they've set up a Min Matt plot line, even though that I don't know, what will come of it. But if there's a Paranavia and Min, Matt, and she is.
Yeah, I just checked my notes. He did say Min that she was spotted there as well. So
okay,
I don't know how she gets to Tanchico. Like she's in Kyrian, she goes on her own free will, I guess, and just happens to go to Tanchico.
I mean, Tanchico or that would make more sense than the Waste.
Yeah, if she goes to Tanchico, that would make sense. Yeah. All right. Okay.
They don't send her back to the tower.
Yeah, I mean that would have made a little bit of sense given if we're gonna see tower stuff, dynamics happening, that she was there. But it would be kind of what Koala is saying, that I like that Min runs away again and turns him in Tanchico, and then it's like, damn, the pattern's not done with you,
Yeah. Get away from this Taviran.
Yeah.
I thought one of the interesting things too that I was surprised at with the whole Anver, that Moiraine was that, like, the whole age, right? We didn't know how old Moiraine was going to be in the show. Like, we assumed that since they didn't mention it that she was still around 40ish, but clearly she's not. She's got to be like, she's the older sister too, right? She's
much older.
She's what, 70, 80?
Yeah, she's got to be like 70, 80 years old.
Yeah,
80?
at least 60. She's at least 60, right? So if it's 20 years that she's gone, and when she was left, she was 40, so that's 60, right?
Well, she left for the tower when Anver was still a elementary school age, a young child.
Yeah, and now she's. Let's say
in her 60s.
Yeah, let's say she's in her 60s, so that's 50 years she's gone.
Anver's in her 60s. So
yeah.
You're saying, okay.
Yeah. So
I think she's probably supposed to be even older than that, but yeah, I think Moraine's got to be in her 80s.
And to be her 80s.
Yeah, that's
and
probably.
Leandrin, right?
Leandrin's over 100.
Yeah, I feel like someone did the math on this, or and I feel like, was it Koala or Zul? I felt like someone did the math and said they have to be at least 80 or something like that. Yeah. All right, let's play this one scene from I thought was a sign of things to come from, I think, season 3. I thought this was cool, and Daniel does talk about it in one of his interviews. All right, make sure there's no ads playing on this. Yeah, I don't think there are ads, but we'll find out.
Tuck in your shirt.
What does the Amnesty want from me? Is this a trial? I saw what she did to the last man who called himself Dragon.
Is that why you ran from the eye of the world? Why you hid here?
I left to protect the people I love.
Don't be so selfish. You were born to protect this world. Every person in it. Not just the ones you love. Listen to me. The Eminent's a smart woman. She's a good woman. And she comes from humbler beginnings than you.
That's Moiraine now you're doing this.
There's one rule above all others for being a man. Whatever comes, you face it on your feet. Put this on. Give me your blade.
That's my
Aaron dips the wing. You've been learning sword forms.
I've learned a couple of things.
Keep the sword. If the Eminent's afraid of you, won't be for a sword. If you're going to use one of the forms, use Cat crosses the courtyard. Keep your back straight. Every muscle loose, as if hung from a wire at the top of your head. Go. The Amelin waits.
Focuses on the back of the coat.
Yep.
As you've summoned me, Mother, so I've come. I stand ready.
Do you now, boy? Lan has prepared you, I see. What else did he tell you?
That you aren't exactly what you seem.
Most people are not. In this world, it is wise to guard your truths. But not us. Not today. I have questions for you. Answer truthfully.
And then what?
Very compelling. I couldn't stop without that scene actually ending. Maybe not a big fan of maybe things that happened later on in that episode, but I thought that was quite the start. Between the two of them outside, and I think Daniel talks about we get into some sword forms in season 3.
Yay.
He mentioned that, I think, every article that he, I think people probably asked that question, so.
Yeah. He's definitely mentioned that that we did a lot of practice now, actually, and not just talk of sword forms, but actual sword forms between the two of them. Mm-hmm. So I like this. Now let's just rewatch the episode.
A rewatch part.
Episode 7 is,
So you showed that episode, that clip, right? Like, we didn't talk about where Moiraine and Siuan go from here.
Is that a different episode?
That's
That was a surprising end for the two of them.
Yes. Okay. All right. I'm going to ask, and you can answer this, Frenzy. So, as I'm going to pull, is Moiraine done for? That is I know. So why don't you? I know. So make your points in how they can salvage Moiraine. But is Moiraine done for? Yes or no? What do you think?
I don't know how to salvage it. That's why I'm not a writer.
See each other again.
But well, in the books they don't.
Yeah.
They definitely part ways, and this is viewed as a absolute betrayal for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Moiraine sees Siuan not trusting her, and Siuan sees Moiraine leaving with a Forsaken.
Right, exactly. I think these are not balanced, right? Sure, you're not trusting me versus literally incarnate of evil that I'm siding with, right?
Right.
Isn't it before Lanfear shows up that Siuan forces her to close the Waygate by using the bond against her? The oath, the oath against her.
But you're saying there's no coming back from just using that oath.
I think she struck first when she did that and forced Moiraine to close the gateway by using the oath. Then Lanfear shows up after that.
Right, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that is true, but I think in terms of how do you repair things, right? If Siuan doesn't see Moiraine leaving with Lanfear, maybe there is something coming back from. Given that she went to the lengths that she already did, right? She was like, I gave you this task and you've basically not prepared Rand, and she had her own way of doing it, which is not different in terms of words used in the books, right? Siuan did say some of the same things that she was actually doing in the show in terms of caging the Dragon Reborn and things like that. But the fact that we actually see that, Moiraine was not going to roll with that, and she didn't. So do you think, is there any way back, or is this the big kind of thing where now Siuan really doesn't have much to go back on in the Hall of the Tower, where she's like, your bestie basically is in cahoots with the Forsaken?
I think it's going to do just to distract her. It's enough to the point where when we're still in full book spoilers, okay. So when the coup happens, it works, it fits, it's realistic.
Yeah. This is contentious, right? Sorry, Swanlanders, I knew, girl. Yeah, no. No, not that.
That Siuan really thinks that Moraine's gonna get in league with Lanfear, or you think Siuan understands that it's just a means to an end?
Right, but it's still like not. But could she be Black Aja, right? Like, Siuan has to consider that, right? At some point, I don't know what happened for 20 years. Sure, I don't know what happened at the Eye of the World. Like none of this makes sense. Or
she could be compromised. She
right,
could
exactly.
Think that Lanfear has Moiraine under control.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Compulsion. Like, there's so many things where, like, is Moiraine trustworthy from from the quest they're both on? So I think like there's two ways this can go, right? I think they can use this as the thing where the tower, and maybe like who knows that Liandrin is Black Aja at this moment. Like, Liandrin is still playing. Like, Moiraine will know soon. Rima knows, but Rima is captured. Elaine, Egwene, and Nynaeve, those well, not Egwene, but like they know, but they're in Falma. So really, there's no Aes Sedai. Well, Varen knows. Yeah.
Turns on to her.
Right, but Varen is the Black Aja anyway, so it's.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
So they're far removed enough. Where they're far removed, I feel like, in a way that where they could, like, Liandrin could be back at the tower scheming and getting Siuan, the coup thing happening with Liandrin at the head, because no one really knows Liandrin's Black Aja because those people are all out in Falma.
I don't.
You think that's it? You think the cat's out of the bag? That's it? Liandrin can't go back to the tower?
I don't think she should. Because if she's going to Tanchica, like, let's just get it out of the bag, right? Let's just have. Well, we think, right? Ispan is cast. We already have.
Elida?
No. Well, what's her name was in season 2 already?
Joya.
Oh yeah, Joya Bayer.
Yeah.
Was in season 2 already. So
yeah.
Just especially if you're condensing the story, like, why go back? Like, what? There's no reason.
So you're saying she leaves from Carian and that's it? She's now in the wind, and not and a known dark friend.
Yeah, she goes to Tenchi. I mean, maybe she goes back to the tower and then leaves
right
away.
Yeah, and they have some of the same thing where she, like, kills people and escapes.
Yeah, steals some things and then leaves.
All right. No, I think there's many ways they can play this out, but I don't know how this poll is playing out.
Anver knows.
Anver knows, yes. So yeah, I think that is probably then like Anver has probably Aes Sedai informants that she can get to, I think. Yes. People want to know the raffle result. Yes, I did close entries, and let's pick a winner.
Who wins?
All right. Library Addict, you have won a Dusty Wheel mug. Congratulations.
Nice.
Congrats. Yeah, get in touch with me on yeah, exactly, there it is. You can choose from that and many other from the Dusty Wheel store on Zazzle. Get in touch with me on Discord or Twitter, and we'll connect and figure out how to get that to you. So congrats. I don't know if I saw them. Oh, there they are. Yes. Yes, there. Yes, thanks. You're welcome. And congrats. Way to go, Library Addict. Okay, so I think that's it. I don't think I have anything more. But you're right. I don't know what's gonna happen with Swan. She's a big actor. I hope they can get more of her in season 3 and season 4 if they're not gonna have the Tower coup, which again, too many things to do. It should really be season 4 if we're gonna have Elida and Shora. If Shora is Elida and that's gonna start happening, that would be interesting how that plays out. Oh, I forgot. There's whole Camelin, right? If we go to Camelin this year, or not this year.
This season,
This
yeah.
season, it's
There's a
exciting
lot.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's exciting stuff. There's a lot to look forward to. All right, let me end this poll, and this last question I have for you, you both, is one done for about 60% of people. Wait, are they saying yes? Wow. Okay.
Wow.
That's I thought that'd be flipped, but that's okay. I guess that makes sense to some degree, where you can't come back from
It hurts.
that.
Chad, it
Yes,
hurts.
it does. It does.
That's all right. We'll see.
You're like, as long
Hey,
as the other thing doesn't happen.
As long as okay. Yeah, I set the bar there. I did.
All right.
I'll own
Okay.
that.
Okay, I've asked people this. Do you think this time next year, and the last day of January today, right? Do you think we would have a release date and or a trailer?
God, I hope so.
Okay.
By January of next year, will we have a release date?
Okay, that's the question. Yeah.
So.
Okay.
I think so.
So I mean, release dates we got in July, and the show aired in September. So
That's true.
so
So
so it's 3 months, right?
Well, the trailer and the release date the same time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
July. It was July. It was just before. It was just after WalkCon. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it was-
will we have a release date for S3
That would
by
mean a
the
March release.
end
Like,
of Jan 2025?
it's still
right.
filming, so
I'd be shocked. is how I think they're gonna have a lot. I mean, there's Rings of Power, right? There's so many things to put in here. They might, if Rings of Power is done. I don't know. We don't have a release date for that yet, right? But it's summer.
It'll probably be around September of
Yeah.
this year. I think later this year for sure.
So they'd want that to run for at least past Christmas, and then it'd probably start the Wheel of Time kind of thing. I hope we get a good marketing run for season 3, and there's no other spanners in the spanner in the wheel. Is that the
Spoke in the wheel.
Spoke in the wheel. There you go. Well, but no, isn't there a spanner that you throw in the wheel so the wheel doesn't turn, like COVID and the strikes
Oh.
were? Yeah. But
You throw your shoes, the saboteurs.
but I'd be surprised if we have a release date by this time. I hope we do.
You think you're gonna get another? Like it's gonna be a full 2 years?
No, I don't think it's been 2 years. But I think it'll be probably summer. It'll probably be summer. It'll be like May, June. Is what I'm thinking, because they haven't finished, and if they're going out now and doing stuff, I mean, sure, maybe they can do post-production really fast, but no, seeing what has happened in the past, it'd be interesting. Thank you for all the people who spanner in the gears, spanner in the works. Yes, all of that. That's what I was trying to get to. Yeah, things were so weird with the strikes last year. Yes, with the strike, yeah, it was not fun at all. But we'll be. I mean, we don't have much season 3 news. People are worried about season 4. We don't have any season 4 news. It'd be good to get any future season news would be great. But like I said, I'm back next week talking Egwene and digging into her character and her going to the Isle Waste, and then maybe not the week after. In the next few weeks, there is a Matt show that I have to do, and dig into Matt Cawthon and what he's going to be up to now that he's finally. He remembers. He remembers himself now. All right, both of you, thank you so much for joining me. I think we've looked into Lan and Moiraine as much as we can. Maybe not the strongest arc for most people for season 2, but I think by the end of it, I was on the. It worked out for me at the end, and more to look forward to. More to look forward to. All right. And as we say around here, good night from the Dusty Wheel, and smash the black.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. You went right to kill it. Look at you, you're all ready. You're just done. I mean, this is like, this is really well.
And now I'm like, great, my turn?
And if you don't like that and you want to say, well, Robert Jordan could have made the two rivers all white. He could have, but he didn't. So
just complimented me on my dress, and as you can clearly see, I'm sad.
I see Lukomi as something along the lines of a Shadar Haran analog.
It does make sense why it outlasted the breaking.
Yeah.
See, this is why I have Therese in the show, because she's going to correct everything that.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dusty Wheel Show. What? Meme Off Challenge. Yay!
Like baby face mounted on like a huge body. So like all of a sudden,
this is not just
like,
a traditional fantasy, right? There are sci-fi
and
elements.
Just a moment ago,
Rafe tweeted something. So let me get my guest in here with me, and
probably I would say put in 70-80% of the work. I got to be over the shoulder and be like, no,